What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. My review of Batwoman, episode 12. Take your choice. Can I choose to leave? Alright, we kick off the episode with Jacob and Sophie, and they're in prison, and they're talking to a Dr. Campbell. And I guess they're hoping that he'll testify on Jacob's behalf, so he can, get out of jail. And after they plead their case, he explains to them how stupid and ridiculous the show is. Their story about how a guy wears faces that are made with human skin, and that's ridiculous. Not the show. But he says he will agree to sign an affidavit if he's able to meet with Mouse. And luckily, they just happen to have Mouse locked up under surveillance in the hospital. Now Sophie reluctantly agrees, but before she leaves, Jacob says, listen, you need to eliminate the target at all costs. They gonna kill Alice. And now, fueled with a new sense of purpose, she returns to Crow headquarters to order a B-42. Is that like a bomber or something? I don't know. I assume it's like an Order 66 type. I don't know what a B-42 is. It doesn't really say. It doesn't really even imply anything. I'm not sure. Except now they're really serious about finding Alice. I guess maybe before they weren't. Maybe they were operating on like a B-41, and then B-42 is like, no, we're really going to try this time. No, this time we're going to find her now, for real. I mean, we were just messing around before, but now we're going to find her. So then we cut to Luke, Mary, and Beth, and they're in a car, and Beth is having these migraines, these massive migraines, and so they don't know what's wrong, so they decide they're going to get her out of the gay bar, because, let's be honest, if you're having migraines, the last place you want to be is in a gay bar. And they're heading to what I presume to be a hospital, but there's a roadblock there. And then they find out, hey, the Crows are looking for Alice. Well, Beth looks just like Alice, so you just hide, and then we'll try to get out of this, right? Well, they can't do it because Luke is not smooth, and Mary just, she runs off at the mouth. So they pull Luke and Mary out of the car. One of the cops is making his way back, and he sees somebody in the back, and he's like, hey, there's somebody back here. And before he can do anything about that, he's pulled right out of the scene, and you assume that's like Batwoman, right? But it doesn't really make any sense, because at the end of the last episode, Kate was with Beth and Luke and Mary. Okay, so if Beth was having problems, wouldn't all four of them just get in a car and take off? But it could have been Batwoman, because Batwoman shows up on a motorcycle like a half a mile away, speeding towards the actual roadblock. And then she punches some buttons on the bat cycle, and then as she drives past these four guards that are armed, that are fully armed, telling her to stop, she drives past them with the motorcycle, and then shoots out these little grappling hooks to grab them, and then drag them as she drives past them. It doesn't make it. If you are headed towards a roadblock, right, and they're telling you to stop, they're going to open fire on you. They are going to shoot you. They don't shoot one time. It would have been a little more realistic if they would have shot, and then maybe like the bullets bounced off her magic, bat suit, or they bounced off the motorcycle, and then she goes by him and hits him with the grappling hook. But they don't do that. I don't know if the budget is in there. I don't know if, but I mean, we've seen gunfire in other CW shows, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense. So then she pulls down the four guards and just says, go. And so Luke and Mary get back in the car sort of backs up, and while it's in frame, we see the license plate numbers change before it takes off. Why? Why did you do that? Why wouldn't you just take off? I mean, what does it matter if you've got a different license plate at this point? I mean, it was like you could tell it was a pretty good effect. So why would you spend the money on that effect and not guns that fire blanks? So the next morning we see a Crow walking in an alleyway. I guess he's looking for Alice. It's the middle of the day. He's by himself. Alice sneaks up behind him and throws her butterfly knife at the guy. Which, I mean, listen, if you know anything about knives, you can't throw a butterfly knife in that way. She should just have a throwing knife, or just a regular knife with like a fixed handle, because it's made up of like a two-part hinged handle. So it swings around, and when it's closed, it covers up the blade. But then you open it up in a butterfly kind of fashion, right? And then it reveals the blade. But if you just throw that, the handle doesn't always really stay together. So it's just going to fly apart. It's not going to go straight. It's just going to fall off to the left or right or fall to the ground. It's a little thing, I know, but shouldn't we at least try? And as she's laughing at the man she just killed, she gets a migraine and falls down. And then we cut to Beth, who is also having a migraine, but she's in Wayne Tower. Why didn't they go to the hospital? And even if you didn't want to go to the hospital because you thought that the Crows were on the lookout for Alice, why wouldn't you go to, I don't know, Mary's Free Clinic? So it's at this point in Wayne Tower that they decide to steal a plot point from the movie Time Cop. And that is that two of the same person can't occupy the same space. But in this show, it's going to be two of the same person can't occupy the same Earth. Okay? And to make things worse, Mary says, based on this cellular degeneration, I estimate we only have 7 hours before they're both dead. Cut back from commercial, and Beth is having a drink, which, if I found out I have 7 hours to live, also if I realized I was an actress on the Batwoman TV show, I would also drink heavily. And because Kate is a useless character, she berates Mary and Luke and says, you guys need to, put your heads together and come up with a solution. To which Mary says, what do you want from me? I'm not an expert in cellular decay. But you were smart enough to pinpoint to the hour how long she has left to live. I hate to say it, but I think I'm with Kate on this one. So Kate's like, well, listen, if I can't do anything here, maybe I should go try to talk some sense into Sophie. Get her to call off this whole, search for Alice, the evil, murdering psychopath. I don't know why she thought that was going to work. And Luke says, well, how are you going to do that? And she's like, well, I don't really know. And Luke's like, well, hey, why don't you just tell her about this cataclysmic Crisis on Infinite Earths event? And hey, if you don't believe me, go ask The Flash or Supergirl. Luke's starting to make sense. All right. But do you think Kate does that? Hell no. Next, we see Alice walking into the hospital in the uniform from the guy she just killed. And she just walks past the guard and walks right into Mouse's room. What's weird is that the outfit is actually form-fitting. And I guess she had time to make a fake ID? Does she know she only has 7 hours to live? And another thing, does this guard not know about Order B-42? Doesn't he know that they're all looking for Alice? So if a woman walks up to you in a crow outfit, and the name tag says, Steve, and she's got Steve's ID badge, maybe you should check into it. So Alice walks into Mouse's room and he's freaked out like, who are you? Are you really Alice? Are you that other one, the one that tricked me? And she's like, what are you talking about? And he's all upset and emotional and traumatized because that other woman fooled me and that's how Kate escaped. Bull! That's not how Kate escaped. You're just incompetent. In fact, Beth never fooled Mouse for 1 second. He knew instantly that wasn't her and threw her in the car. Now, we're not going to rehash that episode. Let's move on. So now we got to Sophie leading a raid in some house somewhere. I guess they're looking for Alice and they're just going door to door at this point. I don't know. I mean, what's going on with the Crows? I mean, they were the ones that were all on top of everything. They were there before Batwoman could ever show up. And now they're just running house to house, kicking doors down, smacking people around. I don't know what's going on. There's no consistency with the show whatsoever. But then Batwoman shows up and Sophie and her kind of walk off to the side and they have a conversation where it's like, hey, don't worry, let me, Batwoman, do my job. Let me do it my way. Let me find her. You're running around kicking doors down, illegal search and seizures. This isn't right. This is not the way you want to be, the acting commander. And how does Batwoman know that this is illegal? I mean, is Batwoman in the offices making sure they got warrants for this? I mean, what the hell's going on? There's a lot of details that are getting left out in this episode that I think are kind of important. And then Sophie's like, I don't think so. I got a job to do. See you later. Batwoman takes off. Sophie takes off. Nothing's resolved. What's Jacob doing? Cut to the prison. Jacob just got shanked. That's gotta hurt. Cut back to Wayne Tower, and basically Luke has no answers. Mary has no answers. She's not even there. I guess she's off at the clinic somewhere. And Beth says, listen, basically, one Earth can't handle two Beths. And just as she says that, guess what? Alice walks in. Alice! So if there was a superhero in this show, it is definitely Alice. She's able to go anywhere and do anything and never get caught. Cut the commercial. So now we're back at Wayne Tower. We've got Beth, we've got Alice, and Kate shows up. She's not in the Batsuit, so she got in the Batsuit to go talk to Sophie, to come back to get out of the Batsuit, to go back up to the top of Wayne Tower. Doesn't she know that we've got like 7 hours to get this whole thing resolved? And they basically explain to Alice what's going on, which I don't understand why, because she's the bad guy, and she's just walking around while they're talking. Why has no one cuffed her? She's like she's got a gun. It's not like she's got some bomb or some elaborate scheme. She's just walking around. And then after she hears the story, she's like, okay, well, I know how to fix this. Pulls out a butterfly knife, throws it at Beth's face, but with ninja-like Spidey sense reaction time, Kate is able to just reach out and grab this knife in midair. Okay, so cut back to the jail where Jacob is fighting the guy that shanked him. He's bleeding, but he's holding his own. And before the guy can kill him, some other big black dude comes in and just chokes him out. And then he tells Jacob, hey, the word in the prison is that you're getting out. So I guess remember this when you get out. What is he going to, like, give a pack of smokes? I don't understand. Next we cut to Mary, who is in her clinic. I guess she's doing research or something. And guess who walks in? Wild guess. I'll give you 3 guesses, and the first 2 don't count. It's Alice! What the hell happened? So she was in Wayne Tower. She just threw a knife at Beth's head. Kate is like a ninja and caught it. And then then just Alice just like disappeared? So she caught the knife, looked up, and Alice was gone, and nobody like ran after her. Alice is just able to leave Wayne Tower, and now she's at Mary's. So Alice is there at the clinic, and she explains to Mary that the antidote that she gave her for the poison, the same poison that killed her mom, is actually like is a cure-all and it's gonna regenerate her cells or something. I don't know. And then Mary's like, well, "You're crazy, get out of here!" And then she knocks Mary out, and then we cut the commercial. So we're back from commercial, and Dr. Campbell goes into Mouse's hospital room, and then we find out that, surprise, Dr. Campbell's actually Mouse's dad. And, you know, Mouse is like, "Hey, I thought you were dead." He said, "Well, I wanted you to think that so that I could live my life out as a respected surgeon and doctor." Just kind of a jerk move, but okay. And so he's pissed off at Mouse because Mouse let Alice come between them, so he wants to know where Alice is, I guess, so he can kill her or whatever, I don't know. But if you've been living your life as a doctor this whole time, I mean, it seemed like Alice did you a favor. You ain't got your scarred up kid walking around, cramping your style. You're able to do your thing, probably making a lot of money, maybe have a nice car. I would imagine you get a nice house. I mean, what are you mad about? So then Mouse says, "Listen, she accepted me, scars and all, unlike you, so I'm not going to betray her." So then Dad pulls out some truth serum, which I guess he just keeps that with him wherever he goes, and he's like, "Oh, you're going to tell me," and then hits him up with the truth serum. Cut back to Alice at the clinic, and she's stealing some of Mary's blood, and just as she finishes up, Mary wakes up and then knocks her out, and they have a little fight, little fisticuffs go back and forth, and she's able to cuff Alice to the bed, grab the syringe with her own blood in it, and run away. So as Mary runs out of the room, we see a phone has fallen, I guess during the struggle, conveniently right next to Alice, so she just picks it up. It's a landline, which is also kind of weird. So then she calls Crow headquarters and says, "Hey, I know where that Alice girl is." Cut back to Wayne Tower, where we see Beth and Kate having another tender moment, and the Crows show up in SWAT gear, and they don't know what to do. And it was this point I was thinking, okay, we're gonna have a cool scene where they're gonna kill the power, and Batwoman's gonna come out, and she's gonna take out all the guards one by one. No, none of that happens. She just sits there, and actually Kate looks like she's panicking, like she doesn't know what to do, to where Luke's like, "Hey, Kate, snap out of it," and they're like, "Yeah, let's go to the Batcave." So they all just jump in the Batcave. And then Sophie runs up there, and that's it. Cut the commercial. All right, we're back from commercial. Beth and Kate are in the Batcave, and they're looking at the bat suit. And, Kate's talking about, guilt over me not saving Alice, Beth, the you from this earth. It's kind of confusing. That guilt makes you do weird things. And, of course, Beth looks and says, "That's not guilt. That's courage." Okay, so now Kate gets a call from Mary. They meet up in a park where Mary tells her about her blood that is now magic antidote blood, which will regenerate cells. And I guess the idea is if you inject either Alice or Beth, one is going to slightly outlive the other. So as the first one dies, right, the other one will live. And this kind of gets Kate off the hook because she doesn't necessarily have to kill somebody. She just needs to inject one to let them live a little bit longer, which will theoretically be a death sentence for the other one. Which is kind of a cop-out. So Mary's like, "Yeah, so just go give this to Beth." And then, Kate's like, "Well, I don't know. Am I supposed to just turn my back on Alice?" Yes. Yes, you're supposed to turn your back on Alice. Mary even says, this is a no-brainer. And once again, my favorite character, Mary, I agree with you. This is a no-brainer. We've already been through this. That's another thing where I don't know if these episodes have different directors or what, but there's no consistency. I mean, we've already had this arc. We've already had, Kate come to the realization that that's not Beth. That is Alice, a sadistic, evil person. She's already said, "I hate her. I want to kill her. She needs to die. That's not my sister." All that stuff. So she should be like, solemn, But the great thing about this scenario is Alice is handcuffed in Mary's clinic, okay? So all you got to do is go back to the Batcave, inject Beth. She'll live a little bit longer. Just let her die. You're good, right? No problem. Of course there's a problem. All right, we're back from commercial, and we see what this entire episode has been leading up to, this choice, all right? The choice to be made. So we see Kate sitting with Alice, and we see her sitting with Beth, and we're cutting back and forth, and it doesn't really, we're not sure who she's going to pick, but she actually reveals that, yeah, I'm sitting with you, Alice, and I'm here to say goodbye, because she already gave the antidote, or the blood that contains it. What happens if you inject somebody else's blood in your body? It's a little weird, right? What if your body rejects... Moving on. So she gives Beth the antidote and tells Luke to take her away. I don't know why. You're in the Batcave. That's pretty secure. Why don't you just wait it out here? This turns out to be one of the dumbest decisions made in this episode. So they take off, and we see Kate sitting with Alice, and the actress that's playing Alice is doing a great job. She's crying. You see she's struggling. She's dying. You know, you see the pain. You hear it in her breathing, and you see Ruby Rose just acting really poorly. And at one point she's got tears. At another point she doesn't. And then we see at one point Alice actually dies, and Ruby Rose's reaction to her death is really weird. I mean, she's like crawling and like reaching and grabbing and convulsing, and I don't know what the hell is going on. It's just a weird reaction. I don't know. I mean, why wouldn't you just hold her and cry? I mean, that would make more sense. You could bury your head and no one would see you not crying. So then we cut to Luke and Beth, who have taken the Bat motorcycle to a hotel, some random hotel. Why are they on the Bat cycle? Isn't that like a bad idea? I mean, what are we just don't even care about secret identities anymore? I mean, aren't they going to ask some questions like, "Hey, you must know Batwoman because you've got her motorcycle." So anyway, they're in the parking lot, like, "Hey, everything's okay." They're looking at their watches. This episode is almost over. Nothing of any consequence is about to happen, except we see Sophie. Sophie has a rifle. She's got her scope crosshairs on Beth's forehead, and at that moment, I was thinking, how in the hell did you know they were going to be there? They had no idea where Alice/Beth was. How in the hell did you get to this random hotel before they got there? They didn't even know where they were going. So then you think, wow, she's going to kill Beth. And then that's going to man, that's going to really suck because Alice is dead, now Beth is dead, and now they're just going to basically write the character, write that actress out of the show. What are they going to do next? That's weird. And you start thinking about, wow, where were they going to take the series, and where's the story going to go? And this is interesting. And she doesn't pull the trigger. She just calls for backup. So then you think, oh, man, that's good because I kind of, okay, now we got this new character. This is interesting. But then you hear a shot ring out. Mouse's dad is there. He's also there with his own gun, with his own scope, and he just killed Beth. He just shot her. How did he know they were going to be there? I mean, to be clear, Mouse didn't even know where Alice was going, let alone where Beth and Luke were going to go. So it's at this point, Alice is dead and Beth is dead, and I'm like, wow, they're both dead. That's crazy. But wait a minute, there's more. We cut back to the clinic and Alice wakes up. So now the rules don't even apply. I mean, one died. So the thing was, if one died, the other one survived. Not this one dies, and then if this one dies, this one comes back to life. I mean, what happened if this one died, and then like 10 years later this one died? Would the other one just come out of the grave? And before you give me a hard time about saying, well, maybe she didn't actually die, maybe we just thought she was dead. No, Alice actually says, "You let me die?" But then she grabs some metal pan and smacks Kate over the head, knocking her out, kind of summing up the whole series. So it's important to note that the only time we see Batwoman fight anybody is when she's fighting the Crows. She's not really fighting bad guys. And then the next time we see Batwoman in the episode, she's just having a conversation with Sophie. The rest of the episode is just Kate walking around as Kate, not being really useful. There's really no action scenes. Alice just sort of does whatever she wants to. Nobody can seem to catch her. At this point, I can't imagine anybody's going to be able to stop her. She's going to defeat Kate. She's going to take over the city. She's going to rule the world. And if Batman shows up, she's probably going to take him out too. Not to mention this entire episode existed to set up a choice that at the end didn't even matter. And by the end of the episode, we're left exactly where we started 2 episodes ago with the same number of characters in the same situations they were in before. What a waste of time. All right, kids, that'll do it for episode 12. I'm looking forward to next week's episode, episode 13. Entitled Drink Me, starring a vampire who will no doubt be gay or trans or oppressed or marginalized in some way. I don't know. It's sexuality number 1. She'll probably make out with Kate Kane.